Title: Obidiri Nakanwata, The Heart Belongs to a Child. Chapter 1, Eze Obiala, the Fearful Lion. Long ago, in the lush green heart of Ala Igbo, there was a powerful kingdom called Umuneke. It was a land of wealth, blessed with thick forests, mighty rivers, and fertile red soil. Traders from far and wide came to buy Umuneke's palm oil, yams, and hand-woven fabrics. The land should have been at peace, but peace had no place under the rule of Eze Obiala, a king whose heart had turned to stone. Eze Obiala had once been a noble prince raised by his father to lead with wisdom and humility. But after his father died and he wore the coral beads of kingship, pride consumed him. His voice boomed louder than the town gong, and no one could challenge him, not his advisors, not the Ndinze Ozo elders, not even the Dibia, the priest of the gods. "Only a fool listens to many voices," he would say, twirling his ivory staff. "I am Ogwu Eze, the hill upon which the kingdom stands. I am enough." Anyone who dared oppose him was banished or silenced. The Obi, royal palace, became a prison of fear. Even the Iko Egwu, traditional drummers, stopped beating with joy. They played only when summoned, their rhythms heavy with sorrow. The people of Umuneke suffered. Their markets grew empty, their children hungry. Rivers began to dry up as if the land itself rejected the king's pride. But Eze Obiala would not see it. He built taller statues of himself, funded masquerade parades in his name, and sent his guards to collect more taxes. Still, the land whispered, "A king who builds walls of pride must prepare to be alone." Chapter 2, The Boy of Ndiowu. In a quiet corner of the kingdom lay the village of Ndiowu. Life there was humble, but the people were proud of their traditions and their resilience. In Ndiowu lived a boy named Chikamso, meaning God knows best. He was no more than 10 seasons old, the only son of a late palm wine tapper and a yam seller who died during a famine. Chikamso was small in body, but big in spirit. He asked questions the elders couldn't always answer. He could recite proverbs like an old man. He greeted everyone with a deep bow and a twinkle in his eye. The village affectionately called him Nwata Ukwu Okwu, the child with the weighty tongue. He helped the old, played with the young, and sang songs that made people smile even when food was scarce. But most of all, he listened. He listened to the trees, to the griots, to the moon when it was full. And he listened to the silence of suffering all around. One night, Chikamso sat by the Oku Oku, village fire, and asked the elders, "Why do we suffer while the king feasts?" An old man spat into the fire. "Because Obiala has forgotten what it means to be human." "Then we must remind him," Chikamso said. Chapter 3, The Festival of Yam. The season of Iriji Ohuru, the New Yam Festival, approached. Despite the hunger in the land, the king announced he would tour all villages to show that Umuneke remains great under my rule. His guards arrived in Ndiowu days before the visit, forcing families to donate their last yams, palm wine, and kola nuts for the king's arrival. Fear returned like a cold wind. On the day of the festival, the square was decorated, but joy was missing. Dancers moved slowly. Women clapped without rhythm. Children whispered behind their mothers. Then the king arrived in full regalia, his red cap tall and feathered, his robe embroidered with lions, his staff carved from sacred Iroko wood. He stood to speak. "I bring glory to you, my people, for under me Umuneke stands proud and—" "Lies," a young voice rang out. A hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned. There stood Tecumseh in a faded wrapper, barefoot but bold. "You bring shame, not glory," he said. "Your crown may be heavy, but your ears are empty." Gasps filled the air. The guards moved, but the king raised his staff. "Let the boys speak." Tecumseh stepped forward. "You do not see the children with bloated bellies. You do not smell the dried-up rivers. You praise yourself with songs while we sing dirges. Is this the pride of a true Igbo king?" Eze Obiala's lips tightened. "You dare insult your king?" "I dare remind you," said Tecumseh, "that even the python, as mighty as it is, listens to the ground before it moves. Have you become greater than the gods?" Chapter 4. The King's Turning. That night, Eze Obiala could not sleep. His food tasted bitter. The wind outside sounded like whispers. He saw visions of his ancestors, silent and distant. He saw himself alone, surrounded by statues and skeletons. In his dream, he was drowning, not in water, but in the silence of his people. When dawn broke, he called his guards and said, "Bring me the child." Tecumseh was brought to the palace. The king sat before him, humbled. "I built walls around myself," Obiala said, "but your words tore them down." He turned to the elders. "Let it be known that from this day I shall listen." And he did. He returned stolen lands, lowered the taxes, reopened the shrines, and walked among his people barefoot during festivals. The rivers flowed again, the drums beat freely, and in the palace, Tecumseh was given a title, Nwa Nwera Anya, the child who sees. He became the king's youngest advisor, teaching Eze Obiala daily the most important lesson, Onu Nwa Ka Eji Ama Eze. The voice of a child can judge a king. Epilogue. Legacy of listening. Years passed. Tecumseh grew into a wise man, respected across all of Igbo land. And when he became an elder, he would gather children around the fire and tell them, "Do not fear to speak the truth, even to a king. For the heart of the land is not held by power, but by those who care for its people." And so the story of Eze Obiala and Tecumseh was passed from lips to ears, from generation to generation. A story of pride, truth, and the child who reminded a king of what it means to listen. The end.